The Fox Sister. Chapter 1. The Return. The night she came back, it was raining. 3 brothers stood beneath the eaves of their farmhouse, watching a figure move through the rice paddies. The youngest, barely 15, clutched his elder brother's sleeve. The middle brother raised the lantern higher, and the oldest brother said nothing. He only stared. She walked the way their sister used to walk, one shoulder slightly lower than the other, a small tilt of the head when she moved through tall grass. She was wearing the same blue joggery she'd been buried in 3 months before. Their mother collapsed at the doorway. She called the girl's name, Sori, and the girl smiled and came inside. And the family did not ask questions. Because grief makes people hungry for miracles. And this looked exactly like one. For 3 days, she was perfect. She laughed at the right moments. She remembered the names of the neighbors' dogs. She knew where their mother hid the good rice wine. She even cried when the oldest brother mentioned their dead father. Real tears, sliding down real cheeks, in the exact way Suri used to cry. The youngest brother watched all of it. He was not yet convinced. Chapter 2. Something wrong with the shadow. It started with the chickens. On the 4th morning, 2 were missing. The brothers assumed a fox there had been sightings near the southern field. They set traps. They found nothing. On the 6th morning, the ox was limping. Something had bitten deep into its flank during the night, not the clean bite of a wolf. Something with smaller, more numerous teeth. The mother said nothing. The older brothers said very little. But the youngest brother, Dooney, began to watch. He watched the way she ate too fast, turned away from the others, always finishing before anyone noticed how much was gone. He watched the way she moved. At night, he had heard footsteps past midnight, soft and deliberate, circling the yard, and he watched her shadow. It happened on the 7th evening. The sun was low and red, dragging shadows long across the courtyard. The whole family stood near the well, the mother, the 2 older brothers, and her. All their shadows stretched east, long, thin, ordinary. Hers stretched west. Dooney blinked. He looked again. It was still wrong. While everyone faced the setting sun, her shadow leaned toward it, as if pulled by a different light, or as if cast by something with a different shape underneath. He said nothing. He went to bed. He did not sleep. Chapter 3. The Liver. There was an old woman in their village. Most people called her a fool. Dooney called her grandmother. She was not his grandmother, but she was the only person he trusted. He found her at dawn, sorting dried herbs on her wooden floor. He told her everything, the chickens, the ox, the shadow. She listened without interrupting. When he finished, she was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Does she ever touch her own face when she thinks no one is looking?" He didn't know. She said, "A Gumiho, a 9-tailed fox, wears a human face like a mask. Sometimes the mask itches." She told him the rest in a low voice, as if the walls might listen. A Gumiho feeds on the living to maintain its form. It prefers the soft organs. It is patient. It is cunning. It looks most like the person it is replacing when it is hungriest, because hunger sharpens its attention. "The person you love is gone," she told him. "What is wearing her face wants your family's liver. It will take them one by one, slowly, so no one suspects until it is too late." Dooney walked home in silence. He passed his oldest brother in the yard. The man looked thin, pale around the eyes. He'd been tired for days. Everyone assumed grief. Dooney looked at his brother's shadow. It was fine, normal, pointing the right direction. He looked back at the house. The girl was watching him from the window. She was smiling. Chapter 4. The Test. He needed proof. Not for himself, he already knew. He needed proof for his brothers. The old woman had told him one thing a Gumiho cannot do. It cannot see its own reflection and smile at the same time. When faced with a mirror, the hunger shows through the mask. The true face surfaces. Dooney stole the bronze mirror from his mother's chest. That evening, he waited until the family sat down to dinner. The fire was bright, the bowls were full, and when the thing wearing his sister's face, reached for her spoon, Dooney placed the mirror flat on the table in front of her. He said casually, "I found this in the yard. Mother, is it yours?" Everyone looked at the mirror. The girl looked at the mirror. For one moment, just one, her reflection showed something else. Not Suri's face. Something older. Something with two wide eyes and a jaw that hung slightly too low, and teeth that did not match the lips. Then it was gone. She smiled. She pushed the mirror aside. She said, "You're so strange sometimes, little brother." But the oldest brother had seen it. He sat very still for the rest of the meal. Later that night, he found Dooney in the dark and grabbed his wrist and said, "Tell me everything." Chapter 5. The Plan. They could not tell their mother. The old woman had been clear about this. If the Gumiho suspected it had been discovered, it would act immediately. It would not wait for a careful feeding. It would take what it could and flee, or it would turn on them all at once. The two brothers made their plan in whispers, crouched behind the grain shed, long after midnight. The middle brother refused to believe them. He called Dooney a frightened child. He said their oldest brother had been drinking. He went to bed. So it was only two of them. The plan was simple. Iron. A Gumiho is burned by iron. Not killed, but driven back, forced to drop its human form. The old woman had given Dooney a strip of iron, folded 7 times, that had been kept in a temple for 3 generations. They would wait until she slept. They would press it to her neck, and when the mask fell away, everyone in the house would finally see. What they did not plan for was the middle brother. He woke in the night to find the girl standing over his sleeping mat. She was not wearing her blue joggery anymore. She was wearing nothing but her own fur, burnt orange and white, 9 tails spread behind her like a terrible fan. Her face was half Suri, half something older. She had not been asleep at all. She had heard everything, and she was hungry. Chapter 6. The Price. The screaming woke the oldest brother. By the time he and Dooney reached the middle brother's room, it was too late. He was alive, barely curled against the wall. She had fed quickly and carelessly, the way animals do when startled. He would survive. But he would not be the same. She was gone. The paper door to the yard was torn through. Outside, in the mud, there were no footprints. Only the long, sweeping marks of 9 tails disappearing into the dark. The oldest brother held the middle brother and said nothing. Dooney stood at the door, looking at the dark. He thought about Suri, the real one. He thought about her laugh and her one low shoulder, and the way she cried when she was moved. He thought about the fact that the thing that had worn her face had studied her so carefully, had learned every small detail, had memorized the way she grieved. That meant it had known her. It had watched her before it replaced her. And that meant Suri had not died of illness, as they had been told. He stood in the dark for a long time, holding this knowledge. Then he picked up the iron strip and the lantern, and he walked into the field after her. Chapter 7. The Fox in the Field. He found her at the edge of the pine forest, crouched low in the tall grass, cleaning her hands in the stream. She heard him coming. She did not run. When he raised the lantern, she turned to look at him with Suri's eyes, or what remained of them. The face was slipping now, losing cohesion, the fox nature bleeding through at the edges. Her hair moved like it was underwater. Her fingers were slightly too long. She said, in Suri's voice, "You should go home, little brother." He said, "You're not her." "No," she said. "But I knew her well. She was kind. She fed me when I was hungry. She found me by this stream and gave me the scraps from her lunch. 3 months before she died. She was not afraid of me." Dooney's throat tightened. "She died in the winter," the Gumiho continued. "Fever. It was fast. I was there. I did not cause it. Then why did you take her face?" She looked at him with those 2 wide eyes, and for a moment, beneath the hunger and the centuries and the terrible accumulated weight of being what she was, He saw something that looked almost like longing. "Because she was kind to me," she said, "and I wanted to know what that felt like, to be loved like that." He stood in the dark with the iron in his hand and the lantern going dim. He did not use the iron. He did not need to. The mask had already fallen. There was only the fox now, crouched in the grass, old and hungry and utterly alone. He said, "Go." She went. He walked home through the wet field under a sky full of stars. And when he reached the door of his family's house, he sat down on the step and put his face in his hands. Behind him, in the darkness, a single pair of eyes watched him from the tree line. Amber, unblinking, old as the hills. Then they closed. Then they were gone.